It's great to be here at Super Bowl LVIII in Radio Row, Media Row, and I'm joined here on Sports Spectrum today by Brevin Jordan from the Houston Texans. Hey, Brevin.
How you doing, man?
I'm good. How you doing?
Doing good.
Good. It's good to see you.
Yep.
This is hometown for you, Las Vegas, Nevada.
Yeah, man. I was born here. I born and raised here. I haven't really been here since high school. You know, I come here a little bit just to, dibble and dabble on my mama's home cooked food, but. Man, it feels good to be here. So it's really like a full circle moment to see.
It's not like this normally.
No, man. Like Vegas, when I left here, when I left in high school, we didn't have the Raiders. We didn't have all this and this. So just to see this, man, I love it, man. I represent my city proudly.
That's good. That's really good. You mentioned Mama's home cooking. What's the meal? If you're coming home, Mama, what are you making?
Oh, there's a couple, man. But for me, it's got to be like, I'm Korean, so like it's got to be just like good kimchi jjigae or like.
Oh yeah.
Bulgogi home cooked Korean food is just so good, man. I love it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, now you're making me hungry, but it's okay.
I'm telling you, me too.
We got to get through this podcast, this taping, and we'll be able to get some food in us. So the pride of Nevada, but also the U, and then drafted, and then into the NFL, 5th round in 2021. Tell me about the journey that God has kind of taken you on since you came through the league here.
Yeah, man. So when I came into the league, like. As you said, I was coming out of high school. I was the #1 tight end in the country. I went through college, and I faced adversity, but nothing real crazy. Injuries are part of the game. It's a gladiator sport. You go into the game, you kind of expect to, be dinked up and, have some little nicks and bruises. But, I mean, I had surgeries and stuff, but nothing that really was traumatic or where I faced adversity, serious adversity. My first time really facing adversity was like my rookie year when I was inactive the first 9 games of the season. And like, of course, every athlete has an ego, to an extent, an extended confidence. But so for me to be inactive the first 9 games, I was just looking at, my Lord, like, what are you doing? Like, I trust your plan, but what are you doing? And
you've probably never been inactive.
Never.
Ever.
I've always been one of the best players. You know what I'm saying? I've always been like, highlighted on my team.
Yeah.
And then for me to, go through that, I was so like just disappointed. Like, all right, whatever. I trust the plan though. Once I got up and started playing my first game, I had 3 catches, like 50 yards and a touchdown. And then throughout that 9 games, the rest of the 9 or 8 games that I played, I scored 3 touchdowns in that range. So it was awesome for me, and I was hyped. Going into my second year, I was, expected. I was the #1 tight end on the roster. I was starting tight end going into the offseason, going into training camp. I performed at a high level during training camp. I felt like I did really good. I earned the starting spot going into week 1 against the Indianapolis Colts. And that first game of the season, like the 3rd play of the game, sprained my ankle. Boom. Crazy sprain, and I kept playing through it. Yeah. I tried to, really fight through it, and it was hard. I tried to play the second game of the season. Sprained it again, couldn't play, so I was out like the next, 4 weeks. And then in that meantime, 4 weeks, we signed a guy named Jordan Akins, who, my dog actually, really one of my best homies, man. But in that 4-game span that I was hurt, he ended up balling, man. He had like 3 touchdowns, like almost I think 200 yards. When I did come back, I think he had another like 80-yard game, so he was balling.
And that's a weird tension, right? Like you want your boy to do well.
100%, man.
You want to win because you want your team to do well.
Man, let me tell you.
But you also want to contribute too.
Let me tell you, 100%. You want him to eat and you want him to have that success, but at the same time, you want the success
you want to contribute too.
You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
So when we played the Eagles on a Thursday night game, that Monday after that game, my coach told me I was going to be inactive. And just thinking about the journey of everything that I've been through from my first year through my second year, I was just like disappointed. And I remember I went home that night and I just sat down on my counter in my kitchen. I lived alone by myself. I didn't have nobody by myself. I lived in Houston. I was only 22 years old, so I was real young. And I just remember just sitting there crying, just real frustrated, like God, why would you do this to me? Why would you build me up to tear me down? And I was just so confused, and I was like, I felt like God just left me, like he just wasn't there with me. And I was like, God, if you really want me to trust your plan, you really want me to trust your process, I need a sign from you, because there's no way for me to comprehend what's going on. So I ended up that night, I ended up just laying down. I was just chilling, just, real sad, just disappointed, kind of in a depressed state. And I get a text on my phone. It's the Bible app. And the Bible app was Isaiah 26:3. And it was, thou will keep him in perfect peace, whose mind is stayed on thee because he trusteth in thee. And
wow.
As soon as that hit me, I just felt I felt a hug around my body. I felt chills. I started sweating. I started crying, and I was just like, "Thank you, bro. I trust you. That's all I need. I just needed you. I just needed to make sure. I just needed some clarification to know." And man, this year, God lived throughout me, throughout my teammates, throughout my quarterback, my coach. God was everywhere in my building this year. My head coach is a strong faith Christian man.
Yes, he is.
My quarterback gave praise to my Lord after every game, win or lose.
That's right.
And this year, man, I ended up having my best year.
Yeah.
And so it was
balling out in the playoffs,
man,
too.
it was just huge, man. So I enjoyed the process so much. I learned to just trust God.
That's good.
I don't really worry about the end result. I just enjoy the process, and I mean, it's gonna take me far. I have firm belief in that.
This season was really fascinating to see your new head coach, your new quarterback. You talked about both men of faith. I know a few people in that organization behind the scenes. Our boy Dylan, that is, they're just devout men of faith who have created a culture there of faith, family, and football, which we're seeing in the Super Bowl, specifically with the Kansas City Chiefs, but also with the 49ers. What has it been like just coming into your third year, but kind of a new regime, and suddenly it just felt like a culture shift a little bit?
It was a huge culture shift, man. It was my first 2 years in Houston was rough. We didn't have an identity. We didn't really understand who we were. It was just a weird shift. Yeah. It was just a weird feeling in the program. And for D'Amico and the staff that he brought in to come and just change the whole identity of our team. Yeah. Like you said, faith, family, football. We have chapel on Saturdays before the game. And, man, it's just like this team is big on their faith, big on their belief. And it showed on Sundays when we played. We had a huge camaraderie as a team. We just enjoyed playing with each other. And I feel like we made it look fun. It was never stressful to us. We just went out there and had fun and just enjoyed and gave praise.
And that guy who's throwing you footballs, he's pretty darn good, but he's also pretty darn devout in his following of Jesus. It must have been pretty neat to connect with him, both on the field but even off the field, encouraging each other.
Like I said, man, we would have chapel. There was a couple chapel services where, guys would give their testimony as to, why they, came to the Lord in certain scenarios. And everybody just went up there and gave their own brief testimony, and it was awesome to see because, guys carry their scars with them wherever they go. And so for that to be a part of the reason why they follow the Lord, it was awesome, man, to hear the testimony because God works in mysterious ways.
I love it.
It does.
Tell me your testimony in the short time we have here.
My testimony, I grew up in the church. I went to Victory Missionary Baptist Church. I was baptized at 13 years old.
Here in Nevada.
I've always been, big believer and follower of Christ. I would say when I went to college, I kind of slipped away from my faith because I was in college. I was in Miami having fun. The Lord brought me back to Him to a real close relationship once I got into the NFL. Yeah. It was all destined. I was meant to go 3 and out, get out of college early, and reconnect with God for sure.
Yeah, I love that there's a culture in the NFL, and the Texans have this too, where if you want to grow in your faith, there are resources. 100%. Every team has a chaplain, players, coaches. It seems like this is a great time if you are interested in faith or really just want to grow deeper, that there's resources there to be able to do that.
100%, man, and I love that the NFL does that. It's awesome. Guys in their faith, it's really what they lean on. Our faith is when times are tough, times are good. It's one of those things we lean on. For me, especially, it's awesome that the NFL is using the platform for guys to share their faith, share their testimonies, because it's really a huge thing of what we do as athletes. We're more than athletes. You know what I'm saying? We're much more than athletes, and so it's awesome to hear guys' testimonies, and the NFL gives guys a platform like that.
We've seen C.J. because he's the one that's placed on the press conference mantle, if you will, after every game, and you see him, always giving praise to the Lord, win or lose, like you said.
Win or lose.
What do you feel like is the responsibility of a pro athlete, someone like yourself, to live out your faith, to be bold, and to be an ambassador for Christ? If a microphone is stuck in your face like we're doing right now, what's the responsibility to represent Christ in the way that you carry yourself?
I feel the responsibility is, first off, we all have to understand we're all dirt. None of us are great people. None of us are perfect. We're saved through the grace of Christ. first and foremost. I get passionate when I talk to people about Lord, and sometimes I feel like a lot of people attack Christians because they might think we're attacking them, but really, I'm just want to share you. I want to share the good news, man. I want you to hear the good news. Like, this is a good thing. This is a great thing, and so just not trying to be judgmental of others.
Or force it on anyone.
Or force it on anybody. Yeah. Just try to share the good news in a positive light, and just live your life through the actions of Christ. You know what I'm saying? Like every day, I work on trying to talk with less anger. Just trying to live my life through Christ, bro. Because I know I'm not perfect. I know I'm a piece of dirt. I'm garbage. I'm not. I'm a. You know what I'm saying?
What you mean.
You know what I mean? Like I'm saved through grace. So I think anybody who with the platform that they have, just try to live a life through Christ. You're not perfect. Don't put too much pressure on yourself. And just try to share the good news in a positive light. Don't force it on nobody. Just be yourself and let Christ work through you.
Right. It's representing. I mean, listen. If I had what I felt like was the greatest thing that happened to me in my life, I want to tell people, and that's what I will say. Hey, Christ came into my life a long time ago, 100%. Right after you were born, about a year later, and he changed my life forever.
Right.
And I want to tell people about that, not because I want to force it. I want them to experience what I experienced.
The good news, right?
100%. So that's what you're talking about.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So as we look forward here, what do you think the Lord has been teaching you and showing you in the season of life you're in? This will be my last question for you.
For me, it's just enjoy the process, man. You can't look towards an end goal. If you look towards an end goal, you're going to drive yourself crazy. You're going to skip the steps needed to get to that end goal. So for me, it's just about enjoying the process, enjoying the journey, enjoying life, just every day taking a deep breath. Nothing's too stressful. I got Christ in my life. As long as I got Christ in my life, and that's my firm foundation, then I'll always be all right.
Firm foundation. I love it. He is Brevin Jordan with the Houston Texans. Hey, thanks for joining us, buddy.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Great to meet you.
Great to meet you too, man.
All right.